Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Investing Explained. Here's today's question. So when we talk about the different ways that new investors are getting started or should get started, what do you think the biggest thing is that holds them back from actually getting started?
The biggest thing that holds people back from getting started, I mean, the easy answer is lack of action, right? Because if you don't act, you're never going to get started. So that's kind of the default answer. But what actually holds people back, I think, is fear, having fear, lack of resources, lack of network, people around you who can instill that confidence in you, that have experience, that can share with you. It's always better to learn from someone else's mistakes than necessarily having to go through it on your own. So I think what holds people back is just either not having the opportunity to do a deal, being afraid, or thinking that like, if you do a real estate deal, that's it. Like now all of a sudden you're a real estate investor and you just can't go back to your job ever again. Overcommitting, that sort of thing. Well, I can't invest in real estate because I have a job. Well, that doesn't really make sense to me, but that's one of the fears that people have. They think it's like a full-on career change. So I would say those might be a few different things I think that hold people back.
It certainly can be a career change, but it doesn't have to be. I personally work a full-time job. I have a full career, and then I invest in real estate on the side. I like my corporate job. I enjoy what I do, so I don't have a need to leave, and I compensated well. So I do real estate on the side to build my passive income, and then I do my full-time job at the same time. So it's definitely not mutually exclusive. You can do both things, but I think that's a good point. That's a fear that a lot of people have, but not a lot of people talk about. So I think that was good to bring up. How can people just overcome general fear of getting into real estate? Not necessarily about it taking over your job, but just real estate in general. Because I agree that I think that is a big thing that holds people back. How can they overcome that?
I've come across that a few different times with people, whether it be at meetings or potential investors. First thing I would say is just because you invest in real estate doesn't mean, like you said, it doesn't just catapult you to this other level of whatever. You're not changing your whole career just because you're investing in real estate. It's just a different asset. You're in your 401k. That doesn't make you a securities broker. You can invest in real estate without leaving your 9 to 5. You shouldn't leave your 9 to 5. I wouldn't recommend whether you're making $20,000 or $200,000. There has to be a very long road between the time that you buy your first property and decide that you're not going to work anymore and you're just going to do that for a living. And a lot of things have to go your way and fall into place in order for that to be your path. I would say the only way to ever overcome fear, I think, is attacking it head on, but being prepared for it. Being prepared, like afraid of parachuting, for example, jumping out of a plane. I don't know that I would ever do it, right? But I certainly know that if I ever did do it, I would make sure that I was with somebody who knew what they were doing and that I had a parachute. There are certain fundamentals that you want to make sure you're prepared to take on any fear that you have. So take it on. Don't be afraid. Don't let fear be something that holds you back, but be prepared to take on the fear. Don't just go in blind.
Just because you're fearful doesn't mean you can't do it. I think the best way to really overcome that fear is get educated, understand what you're doing, and then just do it. And do it with as little risk as you can.
And don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to partner. Don't be afraid to look for a mentor. Don't be afraid to try to find people who have done it before you. Especially what I've found in this world, in most cases, but especially in this world, people who have done deals want to tell you about their deals. People who have messed up want to tell you about the way they messed up and the way that they've succeeded. There's a wealth of information, and there's people in your hometown or on the web or on a podcast or whatever that will probably come shop your deal or do a walkthrough, probably help you underwrite. Surround yourself with people who can support you in taking the leap, and then just go for it.
That's all for this episode of Real Estate Investing Explained. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or subscribe to our YouTube channel to get even more free content.